Hi everyone. What an incredible year 2020 has been for everyone in the world. The incredible changes and revelations that have come through it, and all the trials and tribulations. But I wanted to be able to talk a little bit about the year that is coming in 2021. And there will be some challenges. There will be lots of comfort zones that are threatened. But through all of this stuff that I'm going to talk about for this year, there will be growth and there will be illumination from that. So what I've done is I've taken a chart from the internet. This is called the presidential inauguration chart, which is January the 2021. And you can see all the planets are lining up. So I've drawn this and I've put it onto the board here. So even though it's based on January the 20th, the inauguration date, I'm actually going to talk also about the beginning of January. So we're going to get to that date and then even go further into June, July. So lots of amazing things are happening. First of all, a lot of this stuff, this is all the planets are clustered here. It's a stellium in what we call Jupiter and Aquarius. And I know Capricorn and Aquarius. And Capricorn, as you know, rules governments. And I just wanted to show you a nice little picture. An artist has drawn this amazing image of sort of a goat-headed being on top of its mountain, and the pathways are spiral. You've got the world and the planet. So this is done by Paul Langford. And just wanted to show you that artists all around the world are really getting excited about where the planets are moving today. And we look at the outer planets, so like Pluto. So Pluto's in Capricorn. It's all about the government changes and how we adapt to that. And this is called a bowl chart because all the planets are on one side. And as we go through the opposite energy of Pisces here is called Virgo. So this is like the handle of the bowl, which is in the sign of health. So as we go through extraordinary changes, which is also about a lot of air signs and mental health, we also need to remember how to adapt and learn through these challenges. So that's why Virgo, the opposite point, is important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read through some of my notes. I mean, normally I could just talk about it, but I just wanted you to understand what's going on. So first of all, we have Pluto here. Pluto is conjuncting Mercury. That's on the 5th of January. So this is for the 20th. So Pluto was back here as we go through the new year. Pluto in January. Pluto and Mercury come together, and this is all about talking about truth and sharpening our intellect. So there's a lot going on, and we have to be really smart and watch what's going on. Then we go to January the 10th. What we have is a conjunction of Mercury, Saturn, and Jupiter. So in Aquarius we have Mercury conjunct Saturn, conjunct Jupiter. And this is all about what we call about new breakthroughs. There's going to be new announcements. There's stuff that's going to rock our boat a bit because these are contradictory energies, Saturn and Jupiter coming together. But in the sign of Aquarius, Aquarius rules nations. So the news that's coming through is not just affecting our individual country. This is affecting pretty much all the nations in the world. So that's what this is all about. And also that the sun is called at the MC. The sun is at what they call the midheaven. So this chart is an interesting one because it's making us look at the bigger picture. In fact, the events that will happen for 21 are going to bring the world closer and closer together. So then we have on January the 14th, Uranus, which is over. Uranus is over here. Uranus has been moving backward. It's been retrograding. So Uranus is actually going to move forward. So that's on January the 14th. And Uranus is the planet of freedom, truth, and divine insight. This is our desire to break free from what is false and exposing all the fake news. So Uranus's direct station is the urge to go forward. And you're going to see as I conclude this talk, Uranus is going to form a T-square with these planets here, and they form something happening here in Leo. So I'm going to explain what's happening for the year ahead, and it's all about Uranus squaring Jupiter. And Uranus is very radical, so when there's a square sign, it's a 90 degree, it's not favorable. So this is like a bit of like dynamite, or it's also about treading very carefully. We're navigating through incredible times, and not only that, we've got Uranus here conjuncting Mars, which is it's dynamite. Okay, so as we go to January the 18th, we've got Jupiter over here. See this red line from here to there? That's Jupiter squaring Uranus. So all these red lines here are showing what we call challenges. And this is all about the friction of the old and the new. And it's all about old systems getting inspected. It's a time to review and to actually even reinvent ourselves. Because what's happening, we've also got Saturn here as well. So what Saturn is doing, Saturn builds the walls. Saturn is the great teacher, time. Saturn has boundaries. Saturn builds fences. So, but when it's in a square, because it's in a square with Uranus, Saturn square Uranus, Uranus comes along and says, I'm going to smash all these walls. I'm going to break all your boundaries. And that's what's going on. Tradition versus movement towards a greater collective. Yeah, so there's a lot of tension going on here. So this is all just in January. And just remember that all this will shift. And I'm coming to that. So we have to learn to let, as we have fears and insecurities that arise from Mars conjunct Uranus, they're both exactly conjunct, both 6 degrees in Taurus. Taurus is all about security. So when we have Uranus in there, Uranus rocks everything. Uranus is the rebel. So your security about money and home, all these things are going to be rattled a little bit and make us review things. That's why I said we need to reinvent ourselves. So this is now the date for the presidential inauguration. It's interesting, it's on the 20th of the 12th, 2021. It's all ones and twos. It's very interesting. Two's all about dualities. So some astrologers are calling this the chart of a psychopath. When we have all these intense energies, the Mars conjunction with Uranus and the stellium here all at 90 degrees, it's a time that is very challenging. And because what's happening, they're all squaring the moon here. There's a moon over here. So that's all about the shadows that are surfacing and the delusions. Like even now today, if we're talking about the elections in America, people still don't know who the president will be. It's all about delusions and control and New World Order and fake news. So basically, as citizens, we're all wanting truth and harmony, but we are governed by higher forces. And this is making us look about how we even elect our heroes. And maybe this story about all the heroes that we've looked up to, maybe they're going to be exposed. There's a lot of people that are in high places being exposed for fraud and all sorts of things. So there's the illusionment. We're disillusioned as well. So this is the interesting times. And like I said, it's all in the house of Taurus, which is deep insecurities. But that's okay, because the cogs, the wheels within the wheels are turning slowly. So by January the 21st, the next day, the Mars, this is when Mars and Uranus become fully conjunct. And this alignment hasn't happened since 1942. It's been a long time since that has actually happened in this sign of Taurus. And this alignment is a powerful quest to find our deepest values, and it's about watching our rage, the things that we're horrified about. We need to control our rage and convert this raw energy into something constructive. So because Uranus is also about inspiration. So even though things are happening the way we're not always happy about, we're having to learn how to channel that energy. Now the good news is that on January the 29th, we have the sun. The sun here and there's Jupiter, but another week after this date, by January 29th, the Sun is exactly conjunct Jupiter. Now that's a really big positive. That's the chart of expansion. Most millionaires were born on that conjunction. So this is a time, an excellent time to examine all our beliefs. And Jupiter, as most people refer to, is about higher truth. We're questing for the truth of our being and how do we organize our worlds? Are we what's the benefits of capitalism versus communism? How can we all come together, and all the religions? So this is a great time for self-inspection. And then by January the 31st, we've got Mercury here. Mercury's been going forward, but at the end of January, it's going to pause and go backwards. And that's it's in an air sign of Aquarius. I guess it's about examining mental belief systems. That's okay. So what I want to move on to is that Uranus and Saturn. So we've got Uranus over here. Uranus is square to Saturn. This red line here is Saturn, and they're going to form a T square with Venus and Mars. So what's happening? I'm going to draw this. We've got a Venus over here. We've got Venus, and Venus this is all happening around July the 5th. So we've shifted out of January. So what's happening for the middle of the year is that on the July the 5th, we've got a T square happening. So we got Venus coming around here, and it's going to end up here. So Venus is going to come here, and as it's doing that cycle over 6 months, Mars, which is here, Mars is also moving, because they move at different speeds. But both Venus and Mars, which is pretty much the symbols for man and woman and relationships are going to be fully tested at this time, because this conjunction in Leo, which is about your heart, they're going to be opposite this stellium here. We've got two lines. We've got an opposition in Aquarius with Saturn and Jupiter, and also these are also at a 90 degrees as well. So this is a 90-degree angle. That's called a T square, and it's one of the most, we'll say again, challenging geometries that you can ever have in your chart. So there's a lot happening, and I think what this tells us is that whatever's going on in the world, everyone's going to have to draw a line in the sand to say, this issue that's coming up, whether it's about vaccines or religion or politics, whatever's coming up, you have to make a choice in your life, and it's also about standing up to what you truly believe, because actually we're not going to be having choices unless we all stand up together. So what I'm leading up to is something interesting is happening, is that there is a great collective awakening coming. The good news is that this difficult geometry of the T square will shift. So that's like I said, it's around June and July. And I'm going to read just a bit on what I have this, because Saturn wants to keep the status quo, but we know that things are changing, because Uranus over here says, no, we're going to change things. Things are changing whether you like it or not. So, and is it so there could be issues about freedom versus slavery. A lot of psychics are getting revealed as fake. There's all this stuff that's being challenged. But the good news is that Pluto's coming around in a couple of years' time. Pluto over here, here's Pluto. It's moving into Aquarius over here. That's going to be 2023. So the good news is that Pluto moves like a glacier, but with the power of a tsunami. And Pluto is the great awakening. It's telling people that the only way that we can change governmental things that we're not satisfied with is through group meditation, group awareness. It's raising the octave. It's getting together into groups and intending making your voice heard, but not through protesting, but through inner connection. I believe that is the key. So that when we look at traditional pictures of astrology, we're looking at beings who are connected to the cosmos. So the cosmos is connected to the earth as well. So it's about connecting the celestial with the terrestrial in our heart and being at peace with all the changes. Happy New Year.